Well, very good evening, everybody. And I hope you all can see my screen and you can hear me loud and clear. My name is Prateek Agrawal. I'm going to be the coach for today's session. It's a 2-session certificate series bootcamp. In the first session, which is today, we will learn how do we clean the data on this data set, which is video game analysis case study data set. And then tomorrow, with one of my other colleagues, you will actually learn that how do we start analyzing this cleaned version of data in Power BI. So please ensure that you attend both the sessions, not just today, but tomorrow's session as well. Plus, if you attend both the sessions, you do get a e-certificate from us as well for attending this boot camp. But if you do not attend both, then you do not get that. So since you have decided to attend today's, then ensure that you attend tomorrow's as well. Couple of things about quickly about what we will cover in this session is, because before we start analyzing any data, the data has to be brought into a level where it is ready for analysis. So that's something that we will do today, and tomorrow we will actually analyze the data using Power BI. Now, today we'll use a very special feature of Excel called as Power Query, and the similar feature is also available in Power BI, which is something that you will see as part of analysis session tomorrow. But today I have not asked you to install anything special. I'm assuming that you all have Excel with you, and if you have Excel, then you'll be able to do what we will do today. So that's about what we will be covering today. It'll be a fast-paced session because we just have less than 60 minutes. But just one liner about me, I've spent around 17 or 18 years in this data consulting industry. I did my MS from Texas back in 2003. Since then, 2003-4. Since then, I've been working with data. I've been working in various different. I've worked in the US, worked in India as well, and continue to consult some of the Fortune 500 companies. Power BI, data modeling, data cleaning, data analysis, data science. These are the forte. These are some of my passion areas. So that's what I talk about. If you want to see more of my tutorials, you can definitely go to Ivy's YouTube website, youtube.com/IvyProSchool, and you will find a lot of such similar tutorials by me and by some of my other colleagues. So you'll find a lot of good, and you can browse through some of the playlists as well. You'll find a lot of things on free tutorials on data science or business intelligence. All right, so that's something that I wanted to tell you about, and I will tell you, how you can get in touch with me as well at the end of the session. So we will use this special feature of Excel, which is called as Power Query. And using Power Query, we will do 3 tasks. We will extract the data from external files, not from Excel file, but from external files. We will make some transformations onto it, changes to the data type so that it is ready for analysis. And once the changes are done, then we will understand that how can we load the transformed data into Excel, and then later tomorrow you'll also understand how do we load this transformed cleaned data into Power BI as well for further analysis. So these are the tasks that we'll perform. So there are a lot of tasks mentioned over here, but we will go through each one of them one by one so that you don't get confused, right? Now, if you want, you can follow the steps that I'm doing in the session, and you can ask me questions as well. Or you can also, because we will upload the recording of this session and we'll share the recordings with you. We will, on YouTube's Ivy's YouTube channel as well. So you can follow the recording and do these steps. I'm going to give you the data set, the case study data set as well, share the data set with you so that you can try this by yourself as well later. So that option is also there. Let me just quickly share the file with you. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. So if you go through the chat window, you will find that there is a link that I have shared. It's a Google Drive link. When you open that Google Drive link, when you click on it, then it'll open a window like this. And from that window, you will find that there are 4 files uploaded here. This text file is the file that I have opened right in front of you. which covers about the things that we'll be doing today and gives an introduction on what Power Query is. And the 3 CSV files, comma separated values file, which is a industry common format. It's not a Microsoft file, it's not a text file, it is not a PowerPoint file. It's a comma separated values file, which can be read by any reporting tools, any databases. So it's a very common industry format, file format to share and exchange data from one system to another. Alrighty. And also, if the data is big, then we normally end up saving it in its CSV format. It's light, doesn't take a lot of space, and also one more other format which is interesting, which is JSON. But we'll not talk about JSON today. So if you notice, there are 3 main CSV files. These CSV files contain the actual data. One is called as a game name table file, which contains the list of popular games, video games, that is in the US, worldwide as well. And this second file contains the rating file. The game rating file contains the ratings given by critics and the users of those games. When you download these games or play them on Xbox, you can give ratings as well. And this is the sales data, which is something that you will be using quite extensively tomorrow in the session. So these are the 3 files that we will look at. What I have done is that I have these files locally as well. So suppose if I open I open this particular file called as game rating new file. So it's a CSV file. I can open it in Excel as well. And when I open it, so it's a CSV file. I can open it in Excel. I can open it in text file as well. If you open it, you will find these columns here. You'll find columns like game ID. Let me zoom a little bit. You'll find columns like game ID. Let me increase the size as well. Game ID, critic score, the kind of score the critics have given, critic count, meaning the number of critics who have given these scores, and the user score, what is the rating that the user has given, and the number of users who have given this average rating, and the developer, that means who the producer of that game is, and then finally the government rating, whether it is for everybody or whether it is targeted towards teen, whether it is restricted parental users, and so on and so forth. Right? So that's the data in this game rating file. And I will also show you one more file right now, game name table. So when I open that again in CSV file, it opens in Excel. Let me zoom a little bit. So you'll find game ID. So if you notice, game ID is one such column, which is here and also which is in the game rating table as well. Do you see this, guys? It's here in rating table and it's here in the name table. So this is the common column between these 2 tables, guys. And using this common column between these 2 tables, what we will do is we will end up merging the 2 tables as well at some point of time. And if you notice, one more file that has given to you is game sales data file, which contains which actually contains the sales amount for each game as well, right? So that's what this contains. And so we will see how we can merge these 3 files as well together. Let me close this file, Alt F4. Let me have, so this is the game name table. Let me go to the next file, which is game rating table. So this is the file that we will first try and clean. If you notice in this file, guys, what do you notice quickly? What is wrong that would require cleaning? What is wrong that would require cleaning? So whenever we say data cleaning, there are a couple of things that should come to your mind. That is the column, is the data formatted as per the nature of the column. For example, what I'm trying to say is that let's say critic underscore. It ideally should be an integer column. So if the data is given in integer format or not, right? For example, what if I had written the data like this here? If the data was given like this, 76 instead of numeric format, then it would have been a problem. Some data in like this, some data like this, then we have to do even more transformation. But fortunately for us, it is given in numeric format, as we can see some of the sample data. By the way, it's a lot of data. So you can see a lot of data is there. So we'll not worry about all the rows of data yet. And the next thing that should come to your mind the moment somebody talks about data cleaning is what? what are the next thing that should come to your mind? That should that comes to your mind. What are the next thing that comes to your mind, guys? If you notice here, there are a lot of blank values, null values. Now, null values in any analysis, or missing values as we call, is always problematic, right? So, and we can't ignore them, because they are ultimately games data, I mean the kind of data that we want to analyze. So can you all see my screen, see me as well, everybody? You all can see my screen and see me?
Yes, sir, I can see you.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure that let me do it one more. You can see me. All right, very good, thank you. Just
properly visible.
All right, thank you then. Aman, maybe you want to just quickly check your connection then. Alrighty, so if you notice here, guys, we got missing data, missing data, missing data, missing data, here, missing data. So whenever we have missing data, guys, then we have to treat the missing data. Treat the missing data meaning, what can we do? So what do you guys think? Any suggestion? How can we treat such missing data?
We can use filter.
Okay. So Nisar is saying that we can use filter, but filter will just show us the missing data. But how do we treat them? What do we replace the missing data with? So when it comes to missing data, guys, there are a couple of options that we all have.
So we can use NA instead of null value.
Okay, no. So let's see. When it comes to missing data, there are a couple of options, few options that we have. The first option is do nothing. But when you do nothing, then it is like ignoring the data. And you don't want to ignore the rating. Your average, I mean, your analysis will all be screwed then. You don't want to just ignore the data, very risky. The second thing that you would see that novice users do is that they replace the missing data with zero. Replace the missing data with zero, meaning here critic score. So they think it's a numeric data. Why don't we just replace them with zero or NA, as Ritik said? If you replace it with NA, then Ritik, the problem will be that it is an integer column. And then how would you do that analysis? NA will be considered as a text value. Then you have mixed value. Then you can't do analysis on it, right? The third option that we have, is, see guys, remember, we can ignore some missing, we can ignore the rows which contain missing data if that row is very insignificant. Let's say you have 1 million rows, but you got missing data in 2, 3 or 20, 30 rows, then we can think of removing them. But we never replace numeric missing data column with zero, nor do we ignore it. Okay, your analysis will not be good at all.
Average data.
Then, yeah, Pradeep, what were you saying?
We can put it there, the average data of that column.
So let's get into that. Then there are two types of data that we normally work with, right? Numerical data and non-numerical data. Within numerical data as well, there are two types of data that we deal with. Numerical data, which are non-categorical. Non-categorical meaning, let's say, what is a categorical data? Say, for example, under the rating column, we got E, T, E, R, P. These are categories. All the games, there are many games which have E rating, so there will be one category or one group. Teens could be another group. RP could be another group. KA can be another group. So those are called as categories. For example, similar example would be country or state or gender. These are categories whereby the data can be said that these are different categories of data or groups of data that we have. So, so then they can be considered as categorical data. Generally speaking, you would find very less number of numerical categorical data. Numerical categorical data, you will find quite less number of them, but you can find them. So for example, suppose the rating is between 1 to 10. So all the values which are between, not exactly that 1 to 10, I would say. All right, let me think of some numerical categorical data, but you'll find it lesser, rarely. Then we have text categorical data. Text categorical data meaning the kind of example that I was showing you with rating or, sorry about that, rating or country or state or gender, those can be considered as text categorical data, right? So for these two different types of data, we take different strategy. What kind of strategy can we take? For numerical non-categorical data, which are also called as continuous data, continuous variables, meaning the variables are not discrete like 1 to 100 or 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, but all the values are there. Then there are two options. Either we can replace them with average. Generally, I'm saying there are some more options, but I don't want to go to those advanced things. But you can replace them with average. You can replace them with median. How do we decide what is the right strategy to take for a numerical continuous variable data, that is non-categorical numerical data? When the data is not skewed, that means when the data is normally distributed, when the data has normal distribution, that means when we will see the histogram meaning the most frequently occurring values. Say for example, just to give you a very simple understanding of a normally distributed value is, let's say if I were to say this is your mean, this is a normal distributed value, meaning if I say that in a class there are 10 people who gave an exam and most of the people scored, or well, the average score, and most of the people scored, let's say 50, between 0 and 100, most of the people scored 50. So if the bell curve is fat here, that means most of the people scored in this zone, which is close to the mean as well, the average of 0 to 100. If that is the case, which is rarely the case in a real life, right? It's not that most of the people would always get the average score, then hence, if that is the case, that if most of the people have gotten, out of these 10 people who gave the exam, most of the people gotten somewhere close to 50, then if you plot them in an XY axis, then it will come like this, normal distributed. If that is the case, then we will replace the missing data with average of the other data. But generally speaking, in real life, the data is not normally distributed. Median, when do we decide to use median? When, let's say there are more number of people who scored, again 0 to 100, more number of people scored towards higher value. Then in that case, we use, so this is positively skewed data. Positively skewed data, meaning it's towards the higher value. Then one more type of value is that, let's say the exam was very tough and most of the people have scored close to 0 or the lower value. Then it is negatively skewed data. Whether it is positively skewed or negatively skewed. If it is skewed, that means when we plot the number of people who gotten how much marks, right? This y-axis, by the way, is the score, right? And 0 to 100 is the is the different units that they got. Sorry, not score. What did I say? Not score. The count, and the y-axis is the score. So this is your count, number of people, so frequency or count, right? Number of people who got this data, right? So this kind of a plot, if you plot on these non-categorical numerical continuous variables, and if you understand after plotting the frequency chart or histogram chart, which gives you how many people have gotten towards which kind of marks, right? The count of it. If it is positively or negatively skewed data, then we replace those values with median. But if it is normal distributed data, again, that you get after only plotting the histogram, then we replace with average, right? For categorical data, whether it is text or numeric, we always replace with the most frequently occurring value, which is also called as the mode. which is also called as the mode. So this is again going back to your 8th or 9th standard basic statistics, guys. Yeah, mode is that value in a set of values which occurs the most. So in a categorical data, whether it is text data or whether it is numerical categorical data, we replace those values, replace the missing values in categorical data with the most frequently occurring value, which is also called as the mode of it, right? So these are the replacement options that generally 90% of the cases we go with whenever we see missing values. So these are some of the transformations that we will first see. Once these transformations are over, once we have treated the missing values which we saw in the table, then we will see finally that how can we merge or join the three tables that we have. How can we merge the multiple tables that we have based on common column? And if you remember, the common column between the tables that we saw was the game ID. Because once we join them together, then it will become, then we will get access to all the related columns from all the tables, and it will help us do the analysis. Got it? So this is the plan of action that we will perform today. And tomorrow you will, in Power BI, you will actually perform the analysis. Today, we'll restrict ourselves to cleaning the data, ensuring the data is ready for analysis, right? Now, so for now, we have to identify which are those numerical data which have positively skewed or negatively skewed data, or whether the frequency is normally distributed, and then we will make that, we'll take that action. So I go back to the rating table. I close this table. I close it. I close this table as well. I close it, right? And what I do is I open an Excel file, a new Excel file. I open a new Excel file, and it is opened. And in this new Excel file, we will bring the data from those CSV files, right? And while bringing the data, while extracting the data, we will make the transformation. And this is where Excel's Power Query tool will come out of the picture. Excel has inbuilt ETL tool, which helps you to extract, transform, that is the full form of ETL, extract, transform, and load the data. And these, under transformation, we will perform all the transformation steps that we spoke about, which were missing the data, treating the missing data, ensuring the data types of each column is as per the nature of the column, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the things that we will do, right? So first question is, how do we extract from the source files into Excel using, absolutely right, Pradeep, though it is also used in SQL, the ETL. SQL is also used as an ETL tool. So I go to this new file that we created, okay? And here, if you notice on the top, data. Now this interface of Excel under the data may vary from version to version. I'm using the latest, non-pirated, of course, Office 365 premium version of Excel. So this is how it looks like. This is the most latest thing with all the new patches that Microsoft has come up with. So this is where I can see under data, we have the first thing called as get and transform data. Now, depending on Excel version, this could look differently to you. So when I go to get data, then it gives me an option like from a file, from some other databases, from other sources, from websites and whatnot, ODBC connection, and so forth, or from a cloud platform like Azure or AWS. But what we will do is that we want to bring the data from which option, guys? Which option should I select? From another file. Which option should I select? Come on, quickly. Which option should I select? Which option?
CSV.
From a CSV. So I select CSV, and they'll ask me, okay, where the CSV file is. So this is where I saved my CSV file. And I want to bring this rating file first. And I click on import. Select and I click on import. And when I select and click on import, it establishes the connection with the source file, as you can see. And then it gives you a preview based on the first 200 records of the source file. Remember, the source file had more than 16,000 records. So it is giving you just a preview of it. These are the columns. As I could see in the CSV file, similar Similar things are here, and the delimiter, the divider between the files is a comma, because it's a comma separated values file. But if it was a text file that we were importing, then I would have used a tab. But in our case, it is CSV. Most of the time we work with CSV as a source file. Then as a habit, don't click on load, click on transform, guys. Click on transform. When you click on transform, then it will give you the option to modify the data, to transform the data. So it is loading. And if you notice here, now there are three things, guys. There are three things that three screens that you're actually seeing. The first part of the screen is this part. The second part of the screen is this part. The third part of the screen is this part. In the first part, you will see all the queries. And what is a query? Query. Whenever you import a new file into an Excel file, it creates a query. It creates a query. The name of this query is same as right now as the table name, but we will be intelligent about it and we will name it differently. So a game underscore rating underscore query. I like to name all my queries as query, right? It's the query extraction query that we are creating to extract the data from the source CSV. Alrighty, great then. Now, couple of interesting stuff here. If you notice, so first is the query. The second is the main transformation area. That's where we will do all the transformations. You can see all the columns as well. And the third part of the screen is where you will see the applied steps. As we apply more and more transformation steps, these steps will keep increasing. If you notice, it has already applied 1, 2, and 3 steps here already. What are these steps? Let's click on it and then let's understand. Let's try to understand quickly. The first step is that it extracted the data from the source, as you can see. And over here, just like Excel has a formula bar, this thing has something called as M code. M for Microsoft. Don't ask me the full form. It's just M code. It's not machine learning, machine code or anything. Just M code. So here the source is CSV. As you can see, it has its own language, but it's not very difficult to understand. CSV.documents, so and so forth from this particular path. And then these are the delimiters, comma delimiter, 7 columns, and so on, so forth, right? And then promoted header. If you notice, when it brought the data, it considered the header also as part of the data itself. So that is why it is coming. Game ID, critic score, critic count, user score is coming in the first row. And then it automatically applied the second step, wherein it promoted this row. How did it do? Let's say if I delete these steps, I delete these steps. So I have only source now. Now I want to promote this step. So I can select this row 1 and under Power Query Editor, under home, under home. If you notice under transform, it says use first row as header. So I select that. And the moment I do it, if you notice, it automatically does it. It promotes that row as the column header. And you can see it over here, promoted header. And it also read the data and understood what is the data type of each column. So if you notice, it is game ID 1, 2, 3, which is numeric. 1, 2, 3 again numeric. 1, 2, 3 again numeric. 1.2 basically means it's numeric but with decimal. And then here, this is like a small icon, 1, 2, 3 numeric. ABC is text. Then rating also is text, ABC text. Did you see this, guys? Very interesting. It has added 3 steps, guys. You have the ability to change these steps, these 3 steps if you want. And this is where the M code is getting created. And now if you look at the M code here, table.transform column, promoted header, game ID is integer, critic score is also integer, critic count is integer, user score type number, user count integer, developer type text, rating type text. Very easy to understand that bit as well. So I've got the data. This is not an Excel window. This is a Power Query Editor window, the special tool which comes with Excel, but most of you might never have explored it. It is great for ETL or extraction, transformation, and loading the data. So we are in the Power Query Editor window. We are not in Excel window. Okay. Now, what are the steps that you want to do quickly. I want to make sure that the game ID should not be numeric because it should be text, because we're not going to do any calculations on these game IDs, just an identifier. So I click on this option, this 1, 2, 3, then it'll show me all the data types that I can choose from. And then when I select ABC, it asks me, you're changing the column type. And there is a step already added here in the query, which is to change the type, where it changed the type for many of the columns. Do you want to replace this current step, or you want to add it as a new step? So I would just say replace the current step, I mean, just a small change. I don't want to make the other changes. So that's what I have done over here, guys. Now, here, I've got the data. I have modified the data types as well. I've promoted the first row as header. These are the steps that I've already done. Now, if you notice, there is a green band here, and there is a green and black band here, green and black band here, green and black band here. Then there is a green band completely for the developer column. And there is a rating column, and that is also completely full. If I scroll my mouse over here, if I hover my mouse to this point, this thing, then you would notice that it shows what? It shows that there are 34% of values in this column are empty, no errors, but 34% of the values are empty. And we saw it earlier as well. Here also similar figure, here also similar figure. So wherever it is a little bit of black band, you can see those columns have missing values, right? So those are the columns that we will take care of right now. Now, we decided that if a particular numerical column, this is a numerical column, continuous variable column, not a categorical column. If it is so, then we have two options to replace it with. What are those two options? To replace the missing values, the null values with, we can replace them with what?
0.
Average or median?
Average or median, that's right, Prakash. And we decide that on the basis of what, Prakash?
Skewed or non-skewed?
Basically, we need to check histogram. We need to plot a histogram, a frequency graph for each one of these variables. And then we check if the data is not skewed. That means a bell curve with a median right in the middle of it. That means it is normally distributed data. And then in that case, we will replace it with average. But as we said, most of the real life data sets, you will not find normally distributed data. So most of the time we'll find skewed, either positively or negatively skewed. In such a case, median is a better representation of data, and hence we will replace the missing values with median. But in order to find that, in order to do that analysis, we need to plot the graph. Any graph plotting, any analysis cannot be done in Power Query editor window. That's not the Power Query's role. Power Query's role is to transform the data, not do analysis for you. So what I'll have to do is that I'll have to take this transform, whatever transformation that we have done so far, we'll have to take this transform data into Excel and then create charts in Excel that we all know that Excel can easily do for us. So in order to load this data into Excel, load this transform, whatever 3 steps of transformation that we have applied and renamed the query, we'll load this into Excel. How do I do that? So if I go to home, then there is close and load to. Now click over there and don't click on the first option. Click on close and load to. This will give me an option to decide where I want to load the data. So it says select how you want to view this data in your workbook, in your Excel workbook. In a table, yes, in a table. In a new worksheet, well, I would say in existing worksheet, and this is the cell which is selected already. It's a new worksheet anyways. And add this data to the data model. This we will discuss later. What it does is that it does not load the data into Excel. It will keep the data into the source file, but you will still be able to make the transformation into the source data, but it's just not loaded into Excel. This we do when we're working with humongous amount of data. Okay, let's say we're working with more than 1 million rows of data in the source file. Then we will not load it into Excel because Excel will crash, can't handle such a large data, more than 1 million, becomes difficult. So we will not go with this option for now because that source table contains only 16,700 some records. So we'll say table, existing worksheet, I click OK. What it does is that, keep an eye on the right hand side, it is running this query, it is loading the data. And what it has done is, it has loaded some 16,719 rows. Okay, don't worry about these 147 errors. It's a small amount of error. There might have been some errors, but we'll not worry about it right now. It has loaded into Excel, and these are the columns that we can see. They're loaded, right? They're loaded here. Now, why did we load the data into Excel? Any idea why did we load the data into Excel?
Like for creating a graph, histogram.
Absolutely right. Darshan is saying creating histogram. And remember, the first column that we are targeting is critic score. So I select this column, very simple. I go to insert, and under insert, you will find charts. And under charts, you will find this option, statistics chart. And then here is where I'll select the histogram. And when I select the histogram, is it positively skewed? Is it normal distributed? What do you guys think?
Positively skewed
because there are more number of observations towards the right hand side. If there were observations more in the middle of this, then it would have been normal distributed. If it was more distribution here, then it would have been negatively skewed. Since it is skewed data, whether positive or negative, hence the decision to take under the critic score is what? The decision to take under the critic score is that we will replace the missing values with
median.
With the median. So let's find the median. Finding the median in Excel is much easier than Power Query. Power Query doesn't have a median function. So I'll write equal. So for the critic score, critic score column, we will find the median. And the median will be found using a function called as median, equals to median of which column? Of this column. So now it's huge data. So I'll come over here, and unfortunately, either I do this or I'll be a little smart about it. I know that the total number of rows, the last row is 16,720 and the first row is B2. So I'll quickly come over here and I'll write B2 is to B 16,720. There are other methods as well, but I don't want to spend time right now on those methods. So when I do the median, I get 72, right? So very interesting. And similarly, if you notice, there are missing values in critic count, user score, user count. So since these are all numerical values, we'll still have to create histogram. So let's do that here only. So I select this, and then I go to insert, then I go to statistics chart, then I go to histogram. Now this is positively skewed, but again, this is skewed data. So hence for critic underscore count column as well, the missing data ideally we should be replacing with the median. Again, we'll be smart about it. We'll just copy the range and come over here, median, this range, but instead of B column this time, it is C column. So I'll replace B with C. Why C? Because this is under the C column. Is it making sense? Similarly, we'll do for user score and user count quickly. User score and user count. Now let's create the histogram for user score as well. Select it, insert, chart, histogram. It is also positively skewed. So this is in a simple, we'll use the median here as well. All right.
We are just getting the graph to know the average or median rate where it falls.
Absolutely right, Darshan.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely
Thank
right.
you.
So what happens is that I mean, that's something that you have to do, and that's the reason why the jobs are there. Darshan, I get a point. Somebody has to do something like that.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
User count. Now let's see. User count is interesting. If I see this, it is skewed, but it is not. We will not call it as just as a positively skewed or negatively skewed. It is negatively skewed, but it is concentrated into very, very small set of data. So for such columns, you can't just simply say we'll replace it with median or average or median or a mean. We have to do a few more statistical tests on such columns. But for now, we will just do, because of the paucity of time, we will not take this column into our account. In fact, what we will do is that we will end up removing this column from our analysis because I don't want to spoil my analysis. Yes, we will lose a little bit of accuracy of our analysis, quality of the analysis. Definitely. Yeah, Sanjeev, you all can connect with me directly, no problem. I will give you my email address. Absolutely no problem, guys. And I'm going to also give you my LinkedIn profile. I'll be more than happy to get connected with you all. Don't worry about it. Now, for such a column like user underscore count, which had very skewed data to very small concentrated set of values, we will, for now, we will ignore it from our analysis, or we'll remove this column from our table. The reason being is user count, yes, it reflects that how many users have given the rating. It is an important parameter for analysis. Like for example, when you go to Amazon, if you see a product which has a rating of 4.9, the natural next thing is that you want to see how many people have given that rating. Is it like 5 people have given rating, or is it like tens of thousands of people who have given the rating? If there are tens of thousands of people who have given the rating, then your buying decision would be significantly more favorable than only 5 people who have given a rating of 4.9. So of course it is an important column, but we also have critic count, which is kind of giving me similar indication, similar signal to my analysis. Hence, even if I drop this user count column, maybe it will not have a significant impact, right? But because of the paucity of time and the nature of the workshop today, we will just simply go ahead and drop it. But I will not drop it from this Excel. I will drop this column from Power Query. So for now, what I want you guys to remember is that these are the 3 columns and these are the median values that we will use to replace them with. And I've just copied and pasted these values in the chat window so that when we go into Power Query, when we're making the transformation, we know what these median values are for different columns. Now, how do I go back to the Power Query? Because I want to go back to the Power Query, edit that query. That means add some extra transformation steps into that query where we were. So how do I do that? So you see in the tab here, it says queries and connection. If by mistake, if you don't see it, or if you closed it, suppose if you closed it, you can always get them back by going to data and going to query and connections. You see here, and you will see the query again, and right click on it and click on edit, as simple as that. And when you click on edit, then I'm back into that query in Power Query Editor. And now this time I want to make a couple of quick changes. First thing, I will remove this user count column. So how do I remove this column? I just select this column, right click on it, and I can click on remove. Multiple ways to remove it. I can be under home, you can say remove column, remove the column. Or I can click on this drop down and then I can say remove empty, but here I'll just remove, right click and remove this column, remove it. When I remove it, see it says removed column. It's gone. There is no way to retrieve it. If you want to retrieve it, you'll have to delete this step. But user count, remove. Got it? Now, gains critic score, I want to change it. So I select this column. Then I go to transform. Under transform, there is replace values, any column, replace values. And when I select the replace values, then it'll give me the values to find. So let's say I want to replace null. With what value do I want to replace? Remember, it is a critic count, guys. So what value do I want to replace?
Critic score 72.
72. Thank you, Darshan. Appreciate it. 72. Replace the 72. See, now all the null values are replaced with 72. You can see it has added a step as well in the query. Similarly, I come over here. I go to transform, replace values. There are multiple ways to go to transform as well, by the way. You can right click over here. You can go to replace values from here. Replace value null with what?
Count 24.
Then I go to user score and then I right click here, replace values. Null. What is that value?
7.5.
7.5. Now I replaced it with 7.5. So all that transformation, the 3 steps that we wanted to take, we have taken and removed the column as well. No further things that I want to do to this particular table. and it's ready to now load back to the Excel. So this time again, I'll go to close and load. This time will not show you close and load too, because already loaded to a particular destination in Excel. So just say close and load. And when you do so, it is loaded, or it is loading. It is loading. You can see it is loading the data. Remember, the data table is little high, is little big, 16,000 plus records. So hence it took a little bit of time, but it's done. That column, user count column, is also gone, and the values are replaced as well. Got it? So this is done. This is great. This is very nice. Now, if you remember, we had one more table. I mean, there were two more tables in our data. We have to do some transformation in the name column as well. Sorry, in the name table as well. So what we will do is, instead of creating a new table, a new file, we will bring that, because ultimately we have to merge these two files, right? Because that name CSV file contains the names of the table. This table does not contain the name. It has only game ID, but we also want the names and maybe some other information may be there in that table. So what I do is, to bring more data, I go to data, I go to get data, I go to from file, from CSV file. Then this time I select the name table and I click on import. In this file, it is importing it. It is going to take maybe a couple of minutes, couple of seconds. What we will do is that there is a categorical variable. You'll find that there is a categorical variable, year of release. And then I click on transform out of habit. Good habit, that is. And then when it is imported, look at this, when it is imported here. So if you notice, these columns have missing values. Publisher also has some missing values, less than 1%, but it is there. Name column also has missing values, but name is a very weird column. You should not ideally have any missing values in the name, but we do have it. So the static, and it's less than 1%, so it's not going to impact me much. So the thing that we will do is that wherever it is missing, I will remove those rows. Did you understand this? From this name table, I will rename this as a query as well. I will remove those rows where the names column has missing values. But remember one very important thing here, because each of those missing values as well, for example, if I say blank values, then you will find that these two rows are there, these two games are there for which we do not know the name, but they still have game ID. That means their corresponding rows are available in which table, guys? These two games data may be available in your other rating table. So if I just remove from this table and not remove the same corresponding rows from the rating table or from the sales table, it will be wrong to do, guys. It will be very, very wrong to do something like this. Hence, before we remove such rows, what I want to do is that I want to merge the two tables, because ultimately we're going to merge the two tables. I want to merge the two tables, and then after merging the two tables, meaning the name table and the rating table, I want to merge them. And after merging, we will remove the rows from the name. We'll then remove the rows from the merge table. That way, we are not concerned that, hey, the rating table has a few extra rows, whereas those corresponding rows are not there in the name table. Our analysis will go for a task. So I will remove this step, filtered row step. Right now, now the question is, how do we merge two different tables, two different queries, in fact, in this case? So if you notice under home in Power Query Editor, under home, there is something called as combine. Under combine, we have merge queries and append queries. Append queries would be added at the bottom, but we want to merge them based on a common column. So I'll go to merge queries. When I click on merge queries, then it is going to give me a pop-up. In this pop-up, it says, select a table and matching columns to create a merge table. This is the first query, game name query, the one that we have opened right now. And then it gives me a drop down here. This is where I can select the second query. Remember, that is the reason why we wrote the second query in the same file, in the same Excel file. So now there are two queries. This is the query which gives me the data, extracted the data from the name CSV file. This is the query where we extracted the data from the rating CSV file and we made some transformation. Those transformations are also done. And the common column between this name query table and the rating query table is game ID. So I just come over here and I click on the header. Then these two columns get selected, which is in other way to indicate Power Query that between this query and this query, this is the common column. Very, very interesting. This is the common column between them. Then it says, hey, how do you want to join the two tables? On what logic? Do you want to join the tables on the basis that, which we call it as a left outer join, on all from the first query, matching from the second, or I'm going to go with this option, inner join, which is only the matching rows. Matching rows meaning the rows that will be merged would be the rows for which we have the game ID given in both the queries, the name query as well as the rating query, right? So, and then we will click on now look at the problem that it is giving me. It is giving me a warning or like an error message that select columns of the same type, that means number, text, to continue. It seems like the columns, even though the names look same, but look at the orientation, they're not same. The data type is not same. If you remember, in the name query, we made the name game ID as
text. Rating query we renamed as text.
Right. In the rating query, we had named it as text. So replace the correct. See, that was a problem that we were getting, and that is why we were not able to merge. So then we will go to merge queries. And now if you go to merge queries, name query, and this is my rating query, and this is game ID, and this is game ID. Now tick mark, green tick mark, very good. 16,000 and inner join. Matching rows, not the fuzzy one. Matching rows, very nice, done. Selection continues. Okay, now it is merging the two queries. It has merged it, right? It has merged the two queries, guys. And now, okay, one small thing that we will do. We'll merge it as a new query, not so right now what it did, it merged into the same game name query, but we'll go to the merge queries and we'll merge query as a new query, completely new. That means we'll see that there is a new query that will get added here. New query. Game ID, nice, okay, and we'll add a new query here. That way I have the original two queries as well, and I've got a merge query, and I'll name it as game name rating merged query, something meaningful. Now I will remove those rows where the name column was empty. How do I do that? So if you notice, right click here, I can remove other columns, remove this, but this is not something I want to do. What I will do is I will select this and I will go to remove empty. And when I remove the empty once, then you will find that those values are removed, right? The filtered, they're gone from the table. One more interesting stuff. Remember, it is merged. The two tables are merged. If you notice on the right hand side, game rating is shown as a table. And if you notice, there is an expand option. So right now, the entire game rating query is coming as one column, but we want to expand it. When I expand it, then it says what are the columns that you want to see in the expanded query. So game ID is already there, so I'll remove game ID, right? And then it says use original column as prefix. Original column meaning this game rating underscore query is taking it as original column, but I will remove it. Otherwise, all the columns that would come here will have a prefix as game underscore rating underscore query dot critic score, game underscore rating underscore query dot critic count, game underscore. So it will have that name dot the column names, but we don't want to do that. So I click on OK. And once that is done, you will see the columns have come from the rating table over here, right? In the merge query. Isn't making sense, guys? And once it is done, Then it is ready to be loaded. So I'll go to close and load to. Close and load to. This time I will load it in a new worksheet. Close and load to in a new worksheet. Yes. And it creates another worksheet called as game underscore name rating underscore merge query. It is getting the data. Now it is doing a lot of work. It is getting the data from 2 CSV files, making those, applying those transformation steps, merging them together, and then showing you the data. So it did a lot of hard work to get to this here. The system is doing it, not necessarily you are doing it, because you just did it once, and next time you can just run this query again. So we got the data here, guys. This is the merged data of the two tables, guys. Is this making sense, everybody? So what are the steps that we have taken? Now this is merged. If you want, you can merge it with the third table as well, the game underscore sales table as well. If you want, you can merge it with this also, because this also has game ID. So you can give it a try at home, that how can we merge this merge query with that game sales. So just to tell you the steps you will perform by yourself though. Data, get data from file, from CSV, get it onto the Power Query, then go to the merge and then merge the merge query with the sales data as well on the basis of game underscore ID. Remember to change the game underscore ID data type in the sales query to text before you try and merge. Alrighty, guys. So just to summarize, what are the steps that we have done today? We learned that with Power Query, we can do extract the data from different sources. We can transform the data and then we can load it. So as we load it, so ETL, very powerful ETL tool available in Excel. Then the task that we performed, we imported the data, we investigated the data type of each of the columns as well. Then we treated the missing data, right? And here we discussed multiple options, and we went with this option that if it is non-numeric, if it is numerical non-categorical data, then we replace it with median or more, median or average, depending on whether it is normally distributed or not. Alrighty, and then we merge the two tables to create this final table, guys. This is the table that you will see my colleague who will use Power Query tomorrow to analyze the data will actually use this merged query, merged data to start analyzing. This is what I wanted to cover today, guys. But before we finish the session, a couple of things, guys. If you want to get connected with me, just go to Google and search for Prateek Ivy, and you will find my name as the first name in LinkedIn. Feel free to get connected with me there, or you will also find me on Twitter. These are the two platforms that I remain active on. The other platform I am not so active, guys. So please do connect with me on LinkedIn as well as on Twitter if you want to get connected with me. Otherwise, I've given you my email address as well. Feel free to get connected with me on email address prateek@ivyproschool.com. And before we finish the session today, guys, I have uploaded the CSV files in the Google Drive link that I shared at the beginning of the class today. If you guys missed or joined late, I can upload that link again to you guys. Also, do not miss, again, I'm repeating myself, but do not miss tomorrow's class, guys. You'll get certificate as well, and plus great learning. Plus, before I finish, guys, Ivy has launched a very interesting program, new course called as Business Intelligence Certification Course. In that certification course, you get 4 very interesting modules and very good for somebody who wants to get into data analytics industry, but does not want to go into hardcore machine learning or hardcore AI deep learning kind of a module or data engineering kind of a module. Remember, 2/3 of any data science project goes into data cleaning, into preparing the data, and into do data visualization before you even apply any machine learning algorithms. So then the course, which is called as the Business Intelligence Certification course, includes Power Query, Power Pivot, which will help you to work with more than a few millions of records from within Excel. It also includes SQL, and it includes Power BI, for visualization. So you got 4 very interesting tools here: Power Query, Power Pivot, SQL, and Power BI for visualization. So data cleaning, data manipulation, wrangling, data treatment using SQL, as well as Power Query, and handling large amount of data using Power Pivot, and visualizing and analyzing that data using Power BI. So it's a great certificate. There are significant amount of jobs just asking us for this. So if you're interested, do explore this business intelligence certification course with Ivy. You'll be surprised. It's a very short course, but very comprehensive. I'm also one of the faculty members, and we do more than 10 different projects in that. So great learning. And we do provide placement support in that particular course as well, guys. So do feel free to explore that course. And if you would have any questions about anything that we learned today, anything about the data science career, anything about, how do I get into data science? What is the first step I take? Or I already know a lot of it, but how do I get into an advanced role or something like that? I'll be more than happy to help you guys. I have coached more than 9,000 people in the world of data science, and I continue to do so. And I'll be more than happy to help you guys. Thanks a lot for attending today's session, guys, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow.
Sir, what will be the course pricing?
Sorry, what did you ask, Prateek?
What will be the course pricing that you mentioned?
Not an expert on the course pricing, but Sonia, my colleague, will help you, or you can reach out to any of the person in Ivy, info@ivyproSchool.com. There is a, but I think what I understand from them is less than 20,000 is the course price, and you do get to. By the way, you can also apply for, after that course, you can also go for international certification in Excel, in Power BI as well, and in SQL.
Sir, Power BI and Tableau is both are the same visualization software.
Power BI and Tableau are competitors. They work in a same segment of data analysis. In the data science industry, which is data visualization. Power BI is getting a lot of momentum recently because it's pushed by Microsoft, and Microsoft is bundling Power BI with a lot of other tools, and a lot of people come with Excel understanding. They have a very good understanding of MS Office suite. So to naturally move towards Power BI becomes very natural progression. But yeah, both are powerful tools. Both have a lot of demand in the industry, Pradipto. But what we have realized, what we have seen, that in the recent past, that there are a lot of requests that, because we work with a lot of large corporate houses, Accenture, Honeywell, Tesco, Genpact, and Tata Steel, ITC. So we have seen that a lot of people, a lot of large companies are moving towards Power BI, and a lot of job openings are coming to us for Power BI as well. But yeah, both are in the visualization space. Both are very powerful tools. But Power BI is part of Microsoft platform. Hence, it bundles very well with Microsoft Office suite products like Excel and Microsoft SQL Server and so on and so forth.
And sir, what is the difference between jQuery and Power Query?
jQuery is used as part of building web elements, so nothing to do with here, and used with a lot of Java-based applications.
Prateek, I have one question. Like the main question for me is like I'm a working profession. Like I'm not into that coding background.
Sure.
So this will be of like whatever you told, right? Whatever you thought, it was like zero coding.
Zero coding, yes, Darshan.
So like, can I like is there a way with zero coding and where we can be where we can get into data?
So Darshan, let me give you the answer. Short answer is yes, generally, but so short answer is yes, Darshan. You can get into the world of data without coding as well. But a better answer to your question would be, Darshan, that my daughter, who's in 3rd grade, has created 70 apps. Okay, and it's not a joke. That if a person who's in 3rd grade can learn basics of coding, basics, fundamental of coding or data structure algorithm, structures only, that like how if statement works, how loops work, what variables are. These are extremely fundamental concepts. See, where coding becomes extremely difficult is when you're writing an algorithm to, let's say, optimize the shortest route from point A to point B, and and that algorithm is going to go as part of the Google Maps algorithm. Then it becomes complicated. There's a lot of maths involved, a lot of computation power involved, a lot of those things get into the picture. But in the world of data science, right, the kind of coding that we are the business user of the coding platforms. We are not the creator of coding platforms. That means we are not creating massively complex algorithms to optimize a shortest route, or how can we make a rocket fly, or anything, any such algorithm. We're not building software. We are the user of the software. So the way we teach, right? I'm pretty confident, Darshan, that any person who's willing to learn will learn the amount of coding that is required. And we have enough and more business, use cases of or success stories of people who came with BBA background, pure MBA background, non-technical, or even in English background, and they have been successful in learning. What I would say, Darshan, is that if you learn, if you enjoyed today's session, then you will also enjoy SQL. And I believe me, you'll also enjoy Python as well. You will not find them difficult to learn if you follow the kind of methodology that we follow in the class. We don't use coding as a coding, but we use coding as to solve business problems, and then it becomes extremely easy. I get remember, Darshan. Long answer to the question. But this is something that I keep hearing and I keep telling. See, I know I'm a computer engineer. I've had that kind of pedigree, but I have experience in the last 14 years of consulting in coaching. And see, believe me, there are more non-coders in the world of data science than there are coders. But one thing is common, that these guys are good problem solvers, above average intelligence, and they don't hate anything to do with softwares. Do you understand, Darshan, what I'm trying to say? Have an open mind. Have an open mind, and then you will enjoy it. I can give you with guarantee that if you're doing what we tell you to do, you will definitely enjoy it, Darshan.
That was a great explanation. Thank you. Got a lot of
and also, if you want to see kind of like a preview of the kind of coding that probably you can expect, what you can do is, if you go to Ivy's YouTube platform, go and watch some of my SQL classes as well. Okay, tutorial, and you will find that it is really literally not difficult. Let me go to popular uploads. Where is popular uploads? So yeah, you will see a lot of our students have also given this thing. But for example, this particular one, this is one of the other use cases. Watch this video from scratch to end. It's just a 1 hour video, I suppose. You will actually see that how we code in SQL and how easy it is to do something like that. I get your point. Alrighty. Any other question, anybody? Sanjeev, Ashish? Yeah,
Thanks, Prateek. Got an insight, because many people just put that in our friend that we have to do coding. They project us in a huge manner. So I was pretty concerned on that particular way. So that is why you gave an insight. So
don't worry about it. What I say is that in the session right on time. My name is Prateek Agrawal. I'm going to be. I think you opened it. Yeah. Don't worry about coding. What I always tell my learners is that data science is not about coding. It's not about technology. It's not about tool. It's about solving business problem. If you're passionate about solving business problem, then literally you can learn all these things. The most difficult thing to learn in the world of data is to be able to logically solve business problems. That is the most difficult thing. Everything is learnable, if I can use that term. Anybody and everybody can learn that, as long as you love solving problem, and you're an inquisitive person. I say that give me a kid who keeps asking questions, and I can make him a data scientist before he reaches 8th standard, because that person's brain is not filled with a lot of preconceived notion. He's still in that inquisitive mode. He wants to know more and more and more. And that one aspect helps us significantly in the world of data.
Sir, how to use data science, NumPy and pandas?
Sorry, how do we use Pradeep to what?
How data science is using NumPy and pandas?
See, again, those are libraries in Python. Pandas will help you analyze the data very nicely. NumPy will help you apply a lot of numerical calculation functions and so forth. But again, Pradipto, these kind of questions when I receive, right? The question actually is that where Python is used, where Power Query is used, or Excel is used, where SQL is used, where visualization tool like Power BI, Tableau is used, what are the places where these tools are used? I mean, not specifically from within, because when you become very tool focused, then you lose that importance that data science is about solving problems. Data science using data. Data science is not about being fashionable, about using the most infamous tool or the library. Do you understand, Pradipta, what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir.
We never teach like that. We always say that, all right, there can be multiple tools. I mean, in my career of whatever 17, 18 years, I've seen, when I started back in 2003, I remember we started with SAS. Then R came, right? Then SAS came again. Then Python came. Then R came again. Then Python came again. And then SAS became almost absolute. Then became SAS again, kind of famous. So things keep changing, guys. Don't run after the tool. Be open to learning. Any tool that will come, any tool will help you do some few basic things. Extract the data, transform the data, load the data, visualize the data, analyze it statistically by applying machine learning algorithms. And then for some computationally heavy problems, we end up applying some deep learning algorithms. That's where again you will require some tools. The rest of the things is just bluff. Tomorrow, some other tool may come. I don't know. I mean, Cobra may come. Today is Python. Donkey may come. I don't know. Do you understand, Prateek, what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir. And also I have heard some of the name like Anaconda in Python, like, or random key.
Anaconda is just a, I mean, an instance software. I mean, again, what I'm trying to say is that it's a wrong philosophy to take out these buzzwords and then apply, then try to learn data science. Please understand the core of data science. How does a company makes money? How does a company make money out of data science? By using data science to make informed decisions, right? To solve business problems. How do I increase my revenue or sales? How do I decrease my cost and bring more efficiency and hence more profit? Those are the questions. So the first thing, if you want to get into data science, if it is new, go Google application of data science in your favorite industry. Let's say e-commerce industry, let's say cab aggregator industry or retail industry, supply chain industry. You'll find use cases. Once you understand the use cases, then think of learning of these different tools. Learning tools is the easiest thing. Again, I'm telling you, it's binary. Either you will learn it or you will not learn. But being able to solve problems is the most difficult thing. That is what the interviewers, any good company's interviewer will ask you.
And sir, how to using that the random forest or data tree?
Again, these are algorithms used for different. So unsupervised algorithm like decision tree, random forest are used for classifying the unsupervised algorithm. But again, what I'm trying to say is that, all right, today's workshop is of course not the right thing, but if you go to the Ivy's YouTube platform, we have spoken quite a bit about supervised algorithms. What are the different examples of supervised algorithm, unsupervised algorithm? What are the different examples of unsupervised algorithm? In what applications do we end up using what kind of algorithm? We have enough and more videos that we have covered on those, so we can definitely go through them. But Pradipto, again, I'm saying, take up one domain, one skill area of data analytics, of data science first. Become very good at it. The first skill that any good data analytics person should have is, how do I make the data ready? That means, how do I, some of the steps that we perform today, clean the data, merge the data, demerge the data, append the data. How do I make sure my data wrangling skills are extremely good? Then I would say work with SQL, right? SQL will also be used in data wrangling. You got to be very good in data manipulation using SQL. Then learn visualization tool, at least either one of the famous visualization tool like Power BI or Tableau. Become very good at it. Then pick up some machine learning algorithms. And while you're doing all these, pick up a statistics book. Try to keep learning one new statistical concepts every day. And that book can be your 11, 10, your high school standard statistical books. Then once you're good in statistics, you become very good in handling large amount of data, complex data. Then go into Python and start learning Python then, right? Start then bringing that large amount of complex data into Python. See what kind of statistical algorithms that can you apply to analyze that data, right? And then you can then call yourself that, all right, now you're in the track of junior data scientist. Solve in, like in Ivy, every module we end up solving at least 8 to 10 very good industry live problem sets. When you have solved 30, 40 such problem statements end to end by yourself in each one of these verticals, like in data cleaning, in visualization, in data manipulation, and in machine learning algorithms, once you have done good number of such 30 to 40 projects where you've gone end to end, then you will get a confidence of working as a junior data scientist. There's quite a bit of things to learn. Alright, guys, I've taken a lot of your time, guys. It's almost close to 7. So any further question, guys, do not forget to connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you are interested in that business intelligence certification course, do reach out at info@ivyproSchool.com or just call up on Ivy's number is given on the website as well. And if you have any career-related questions about data science, data engineering, feel free to reach out directly to me. I've given my email address to you, and I'll be more than happy to help you. Absolutely, but Sanjeev, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to. I'm very active on LinkedIn as well, or Twitter as well, if you want to reach out. Thanks a lot for attending today's workshop, guys. Do attend tomorrow's workshop as well, guys. Tomorrow Power BI, you'll learn quite a bit of analysis stuff as well. Thank you, guys, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a good one.